Haunted Hangover presents Anthology Obscura.
Welcome to another edition of Anthology Obscura. I'm Louie, and I'm joined by...
Me, it's Sam. Hi.
And I'm here too.
Who are you, sir?
Manny.
Manny is here. Manny in the house.
I'm here. That's the most you're getting. I'm here.
I'm here.
Now I'm just gonna hit mute and we're done.
That's it. He's checking out after this. And Sam is here too after disappearing for a little while. You're back.
I'm back. Unfortunately, I have to work for a living.
You have to make money.
The hell you say?
I cannot believe it. They came to my door asking for rent, and I was like, "Who are you?" Yeah,
Damn you, job.
So I've been working a lot, but I'm here.
You say? How?
Hopefully you start making more appearances, Sammy. But yes, it's the spooky season, so we've got to cover a spooky season-inspired anthology TV show. Now, this is a show we're revisiting. Last time, Sammy, it was me, you, and Chris talking about The Haunting Hour. We covered I think it's like the Luck of the Irish or something. It's the one with the leprechaun.
Pot of luck or something like that.
Luck of the Irish of some kind, something along those lines. But we did kind of more of a watch-along commentary with that one. We didn't dive deep into what the show is. We might have talked about it a little bit at the top, that it's a children or family themed horror anthology TV show. Now, before we hit record, we were talking some nonsense because Manny is not the biggest fan of children's horror TV or family, I guess, horror in the last, I'd say, 20 years maybe?
She likes to twist my words, but sure.
It's just twisting them. I'm just going like this, Manny. Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna take a few steps back. You don't hate it.
No.
But you're not a huge
just not
fan.
The audience for it.
You're not the audience for it.
I don't watch Dora the Explorer either. That doesn't mean I hate it.
It's quite different.
No, it's not.
To you.
It's a little different.
A little bit, but not really.
Louis, you kind of already had an idea of like what Manny's opinions were on family-friendly horror. Okay. I did not know any of this, so I kind of gathered that correct me if I'm wrong, but Manny's kind of just been there, done that, seen it, bought the t-shirt 3 times. And so family-friendly horror doesn't quite do it for him. It's not there enough.
That's one way. That's a good way of putting it.
He's over here.
Like I said, it's just I'm not the audience for it, so I just don't watch it. Like I don't mind it. It's cool. If I was a kid watching this, I would probably love this. I would love this show. If I was like 10 in 2010, if I was like 10 years old, this would be my favorite show. I mean, there's really not much difference between this and Are You Afraid of the Dark? And I love Are You Afraid of the Dark? Yeah. because I was the appropriate age for that. I was 30 years old when this show came out.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not the audience for it. I also don't have children to enjoy it with either. I can watch certain shows. Like if I watch it with my niece, I'm enjoying it with her.
Because you're watching her watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not something I'm going to put on myself and sit and enjoy. And I don't feel the nostalgia for it by myself. Like it just doesn't hit that for me. Like I watch Are You Afraid of the Dark? And it's kind of cool, but I can't sit and watch the entire series. At this point, I can't watch it anymore.
Fair enough.
It's
cool.
Yeah, I still find that interesting because
a couple episodes here and there, but otherwise, like me and her tried to binge it when it went on somewhere, and we were like, after like 5-6 episodes, all right, I'm tired of this already.
Yeah, you're definitely in the minority with that, 100%. Because I think most people, like especially on the podcast. Like I've had, like even Dave loves Are You Afraid of the Dark? I love Are You Afraid of the Dark? My sister loves Are You Afraid of the Dark? Chris loves Are You Afraid of the Dark? It's so interesting that Manny.
I didn't say I don't love it. I just can't watch it anymore.
You can't watch it anymore.
It's hard to watch.
It's not hard. I go out of my way to not get stuck in too much nostalgia. While I have plenty of old movies and shit all around me, I have plenty of that, you know? Like, that movie is older than I am right now. That zombie poster, this movie's older than I am, you know? But the first time I saw a zombie, I was in my 20s. I didn't watch that when I was a kid.
No,
I watched Creepshow when I was a kid, and I loved that. Now, Creepshow is kind of along these lines. Creepshow would be like an adult version of this, which is kind of what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these things, I was already watching Creepshow and Halloween 3 when I was like 6 years old. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the kids' shows were very tame for me, even at 10. It was still very tame. So I felt like I was watching something for kids when I was a kid, because I'd already watched adult films.
No, that makes so much sense. I feel like with this episode in particular, as opposed to like the Luck of the we don't even know the name of it. Yes. Kind of goes hand in hand with when we what do we do? Rise of the Jack? What is it called? Jack-o'-lanterns? Attack of the Jack-o'-lantern.
Attack of the Jack-o'-lantern. That was last. Okay. That was last.
I feel
October,
like
September.
This should kind of be like an exception, right? Because it's about Halloween. Mm-hmm. Like this particular episode is about Halloween. I feel like it'd be a lot easier to watch and a lot easier to enjoy, even at any age, versus like something about like, I don't know, a creepy doll.
Yeah.
On Goosebumps, you know, it was like, good. Yeah,
it was a good episode. I did enjoy it. I liked it.
For
that's
me,
not the question we were discussing.
That was not the question. It wasn't. But I guess to defend people that enjoy Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark, The Haunting Hour, which we're about to dive into an episode. What else? There's a bunch of them. There's Chillers, which I recently discovered. There's a bunch of children's
Erie,
horror.
Ohio.
Yeah, Erie, Indiana.
Erie, Indiana.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. And I think a lot of it is. A lot of it's nostalgia. I will admit that. I'm not gonna say. And Samantha always jokes about how crappy the acting is with some of the child actors.
But I still love it.
There is a nostalgia that plays into it, and I guess for me it's almost like comfort food. It's something that I love watching. It's even when we covered the Tales from the Dark Side episode, Trick or Treat. You said this is for kids. Technically, it's not. But I can see your argument that there isn't anything about it offensive that a 10-year-old can't watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I see that. Where this is actually marketed towards children.
Children. Yeah.
And the show itself, The Haunting Hour, and I think we said this, Sam, when we covered the Irish Leprechaun episode, it is a little edgier. I'd say this is more maybe for like 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, not an 8-year-old or a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, it might be a
this
little
is not the
too
Goosebumps
scary.
age child. This is definitely older. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we said this too, because this show, R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour, most of the endings are pretty bleak and depressing. They don't end. There's no happy endings a lot of the time. So they've always got like a cliffhanger ending where the main character is either going to be killed or on the verge of being trapped in whatever situation they're in, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, that's kind of when it comes to this show. And I was also an adult. I wasn't 30 when this came out. I was 24. I think we did the math off air. So I was still a grown man. I was hanging out, partying, going to bars, still watching this because I thought it was well made. I thought it was a well made show. And I thought it had the spirit of Goosebumps for an older audience, even though the people my age that loved Goosebumps in the 90s at that point when this was released are already adults. So we're not even watching the show. Technically, it's not marketed towards people that are 25.
Yeah.
So, but I get where you're coming from.
But that said, though, I never watched this.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I was late to the game with this one, too.
Well, based on this episode alone, I might watch more of this because this wasn't bad at all. You know, but we're like the thing is though, like it's like we talked about this before recording. This was on the Discovery Kids channel. That was just a channel I never even turned on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that like,
I don't
oh,
even know if I had it.
I didn't watch it and be like, oh, this is crap. This is for kids. I'm not going to watch it. No, it's on the Discovery Kids channel.
Yeah,
I
you
just
wouldn't even
skipped
think
that
about
channel
it.
entirely. Yeah.
Right.
You know, I don't watch anything on Nickelodeon now. I don't really watch
Neither
Boomerang.
do
I don't,
I.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't watch these sorts of, I just didn't. That's a channel that I just skip right past. I don't watch ABC Family. It's not,
Right.
I'm not the audience for it. That's not to say there might not be something on there that I would enjoy. It's just that if there is, I'm probably going to miss it.
For me, it's more so kind of, too, when it comes to this show, I feel like they're kind of, and this show lasted about 4 seasons. So the Haunting Hour, and I think, Sam, I think we said that when we covered that Leprechaun episode, it lasted about 4 or 5
this was 4
seasons. So it had a decent run. So it wasn't like a 1 season and done type deal. So
this was
popular.
season 2. Yeah.
It was a popular show. So for me, and even with this, I think what they were doing was they were trying to recapture what Goosebumps did for kids that were 12 in the 90s to kids in 2010 when this show started.
Yeah, there's even some like little like references to kind of
For sure.
make it more new age, so to speak.
Yeah, a little darker. But yes, that's enough rambling here in the intro.
Rambling, we never ramble.
We never ramble. What? Going off on tangents? That never happens here at Haunted Hangover. But yes, let's dive into R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour, Pumpkinhead.
Saturdays, The Haunting Hour smells a little rotten. When 3 kids set out for fun on Halloween.
Hey, you got no business being out here.
What they find is neither a trick or a treat.
Scott, please. I know you're in here.
Jonas' brother, Frankie Jonas, stars.
Let's just get our pumpkin and go.
R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour, Saturday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. Plus, see Haunt Your House Sweepstakes Makeover hosted by Frankie Jonas during The Haunting Hour. All part of the Haunted Hub.
So The Haunting Hour Pumpkinhead was released on October 29th, 2011. So a couple days shy of Halloween. Perfect timing to release this. It's episode 5, season 2, like you mentioned, Manny. So second season. So it had and I think the first season's really short. I think it's like 6 episodes, if I remember correctly. They're not long seasons. And you could tell because these episodes have pretty decent production value. They kind of look like movies, like small movies, big sets, and really elaborate props, and creature effects. And this episode
reminded me of a lot of shots looked like the graveyard segment in Trick or Treat.
Yes,
I looked see that. And felt like that. It really did.
But yes, we follow 3 siblings: Scott, Allie, and Dave. Allie is the older sister of the bunch. Scott is the troublesome middle child, and Dave is the youngest and most innocent. He's basically the baby of the family. It's Halloween, obviously, and the kids want to go out trick-or-treating, obviously. So, unfortunately, what's happening in this town, I don't think we ever get the name of it, or if we did, I missed it. 3 kids went missing the previous Halloween when they went out trick-or-treating. So the town they didn't ban Halloween, but it's sort of like this strict curfew and all that. And what they're doing is they're forcing the kids to go trick-or-treating at the school cafeteria. And that plays into one nitpick I have of this episode, but we'll talk about that later. We also learned that pumpkins apparently are scarce for some reason, because just in this town, no pumpkins. It's very hard to get a pumpkin because of this sort of ban. They didn't
bother importing the pumpkins to this town because they're like, nobody's gonna decorate, so why import the pumpkins? That was what it seemed like with the mom.
Yeah, again, it's sort of a ban on Halloween, but not really. It's never fully fleshed out, the situation with Halloween not being celebrated in the town. Dave is disappointed because his mother hands him the tiniest pumpkin to carve because that's all she could find at the supermarket. And I'm just like, damn, Mom, you bringing him a pumpkin on Halloween to carve? You couldn't even bring it to him like a day or 2 before
well, he's
Halloween.
not going trick-or-treating, so what else is he going to do? He's staying in anyway.
He's going trick-or-treating just at the cafeteria in the school.
Exactly. So when he comes home from school, look, buddy, you're not going anywhere anyway. You stay home here. Carve this pumpkin, put it out.
Shitty-ass pumpkin.
Make sure the candle stays lit past midnight. You're good.
The pumpkin's about the size of I don't know, like a softball. That's
one of those little things that they paint.
Tiny.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones you find painted at the supermarket, yeah.
There's even a scene where he's like sitting on the kitchen table and he's like, oh, I think I could paint a little face on it. He's honestly the best part of this episode, Dave, the little brother.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, he's great. He's the best part when it comes to the three children, I think. So what ends up happening is Scott is able to talk Allie into taking Dave and him to the Palmer's farm. Now, the Palmer's farm is a sketchy farm in the middle of nowhere that's run by the equally sketchy Mr. Palmer. So it's a no trespass. It's a pumpkin farm with a giant no trespassing sign in front of it. And it makes no sense. Why would you have a pumpkin farm but no one can enter it? And Scott, being the bad kid that he is, the shitty kid that he is, wants to enter this farm and have a glorious, fun, prank-filled Halloween. So they go to the farm and they go searching around. And what ends up happening is they come across these terrifying, creepy looking scarecrow dummies that are laying, standing, sitting. They're kind of dormant. They're not moving. They're not doing anything. They look like Halloween props. They're just sitting there. And they end up encountering Mr. Palmer, who warns the kids to never come back or they'll be sorry. At one point, Scott falls into what looks like a grave, but it's obviously a hole that I guess pumpkins are dug into. And, or not dug, but planted the seeds. He falls into it, and Mr. Palmer walks over to him, grabs his head, and says, "Not quite ripe yet." Foreshadowing what's going to happen later in this episode.
It doesn't feel like a foreshadow, though, which is kind of cool. It doesn't feel like it.
Yes.
I was waiting for him to, like, when he did it, I thought he was, like, joking, like he was messing around with them. Yeah. Like, oh, not ripe yet. Like, here's all these pumpkins. Oh, your head isn't, It is foreshadowing, but it actually doesn't feel like it until later.
Yes.
Which is a good foreshadow. That it actually doesn't give away what's about to happen.
And I'm glad you said that because, this is the first time you had seen it. So it's kind of hard for me. I know the ending. So it's hard for me to kind of watch it from that perspective. So I'm glad you picked up on that because this is the first time you've watched this episode. So that's a good
I was waiting for him to
detail.
go to just start laughing. Like as soon as they walked away too, I was waiting. Like when he scared them, I was waiting for him to kind of just chuckle to himself, like he scared the kids away.
Yeah.
Like he was just kind of being a jerk.
He told him that he's on his way.
And
then I was like, oh, this guy's just a fucking jerk. Okay.
he's just an asshole.
He's just a fucking jerk.
Yeah. So the kids end up running off, but they steal a couple of pumpkins and they head home. Once they're home, they start carving the pumpkins. And these are some glorious looking pumpkins, great shapes. They're big. One's like a long one. One's a flat one. They almost look fake. I think they are at certain points. They are fake pumpkins. I don't think they're real. Even the ones in the pumpkin patch don't look real. They're kicking them around, throwing them around. They look plastic and very light.
I don't think they're real.
So when they carve the pumpkin, one of the pumpkins is filled with worms. They're all grossed out. Oh, disgusting.
Worms, Michael. You're eating worms.
Yes. And the other pumpkin, they find what looks like a human tooth just inside of the pumpkin. And Allie is like, oh, it's just a weird pumpkin seed, but it looks like a molar. So she's kind of dumb. But yeah, she's all grossed out, and they kind of throw the pumpkins away, get rid of them. They don't even want them in the house because they're just disgusted by this tooth and worm-filled pumpkins that they're trying to carve into jack-o'-lanterns. So throughout the episode, there's this kind of ominous force watching them. You get the perspective of it several times throughout the episode, and it plays into the ending. So the kids, they're kind of having this laid-back Halloween after they go to the school cafeteria to go trick-or-treating. They're going to watch some horror movies, make some popcorns, And this ominous force that's stalking them ends up grabbing Dave, taking him away. And I don't want to get on what this force is because I want to talk about them a little later because it plays into the ending. This force grabs Dave, takes him away, basically puts him in a bag, kidnaps him. They kidnap this child. It's pretty rough. And Allie and Dave think he went back to the pumpkin patch to continue his troublesome, shitty kid pranking on Halloween because that's all he wants to do. And once Allie and Dave arrive at the Palmer's farm, we learn of Mr. Palmer's sinister plan in town. And that was the Haunting Hour Pumpkinhead.
I say we go out there, grab some big pumpkins, then you could carve whatever you wanted, right, Dave?
No way.
Oh, come on, Allie. Is this really how you wanted to spend your Halloween? Babysitting us at home? Nobody decorates. Nobody goes out. We have to trick-or-treat at school? It's beyond lame. Halloween's supposed to be a wild night where anything could happen.
All right, Sammy, we're going to start with you because I always want to know your thoughts on the acting from the children in this episode. What did you think of them, of Allie, Scott, and Dave?
I think of all the child actors we've seen so far, this is the best bunch. I actually think this is the best bunch. Not child actors in general, obviously child actors in the series that we've been following.
The
up until now.
Children's anthology shows we've been covering.
Yeah. I feel like they all were pretty good. I mean, I'm trying to differentiate their acting with the dialogue. The dialogue is so fucking silly sometimes. So silly between these kids. It really reads like a middle-aged white man wrote the dialogue for these young hipster kids.
I would bet a lot of money that it did.
It was just so silly. I don't want to get. I'll wait till we get there. But for the most part, yeah, I thought they were cool. I thought they were good. Good enough for TV.
That's always the go-to. We got to find out Sam's opinion on just the caliber of actor the kids are.
I do like to point out one of the first things that I like to point out that happened really early on in the episode, just the representation of single moms that are also nurses. That is probably one of the most common female archetypes in every fucking television and movie series. They're all nurses. So shout out to all the single moms that are also nurses this Halloween season.
It also feels like it seems to be the only job they can give a single mother that ensures she's not home and makes plenty of money to survive.
Yes.
You know, it's like the only job they can think of that, this is the job that women make money on. Otherwise, she's got to be a waitress. That's it. So she's struggling.
But she's still got groceries in between her shifts. She's still a good mom.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always love the convenience of the mom or the parents never being home in all of these shows.
She's on call 24/7, so
no days off. Yep. Always working.
Mom's a nurse, so she's never home.
The older sibling has
deck
to
for Halloweens.
The older sister has to be always the babysitter, the permanent babysitter. She just wants to party with her friends and can't. Because she's got to watch the little brothers.
You know what though? I think that is kind of the throwback to like 70s and 80s movies with kids where parents were never around, but that's just what it was like back then.
Yes, can take care of yourself.
That's it.
It's a different,
we were all latchkey kids.
Yeah.
And in the movies, like the Monster Squad, there is no reason why the mother is not around. She's a stay-at-home mom, but she's never fucking there. There's the scene when Dracula shows up outside and the bomb and everything. Dude, that's like 10:30 at night. Where is your 6-year-old daughter? It is 10:30 at night on Halloween and you are sitting home making a drink. You have no idea where your 6-year-old daughter is at 10:30. Like, okay, the other kid's fine. Maybe he's out with his friends, you let the 10 and 12-year-olds go off, but she's fucking 6, dude. and well, in this, no one bats an eye that the mother doesn't care where Phoebe is.
Well, at least in this, the mother, like Sammy said, is a single mom as a nurse, so it kind of plays into it.
That's what I'm saying. They had to give it an excuse because it's
and
almost like...
the oldest daughter's driving. I mean, she's capable.
Yeah,
but I just think it's so funny how that character, that mom is. We've seen it so many times and across everything, film and television.
Every anthology show, like where the kids have to go into some sort of.
The mother is not allowed to be.
The mom and dad. The dad's on a business trip and the mom's out doing something else.
Yep. That's not allowed to be a stay-at-home mom that doesn't pay attention. That's not allowed anymore. No. You know?
Just having a glass of wine.
The oldest sister, talking about performances, the oldest sister, she was like 20 or so when this kid, because she looked familiar, so I just looked her up too. I'm like, why? She was in the X-Files reboot. She was in Wayward Pines. She was on a bunch of TV shows then that I watched.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
I remember her in these shows.
You recognize her face.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I know. And I remember why. Because I had to look it up because I'm like, this girl's kind of cute. How old is she? I need to look this. I need to look her up. How fucking, like, seriously, am I allowed to say she's cute?
Oh, God, man.
Dude, she was like 21. So, yes, it's cool. I'm in the clear. It's okay.
All right. There we go.
Yeah. So she was in a bunch of different shows back then. So that's why she looked familiar to me.
Yeah.
I think, again, and I said it when I was going through the breakdown of the episode, I think Dave, he's the best. The younger brother, I think his performance is great in this. I don't know why I got a good chuckle that he's a zombie Justin Bieber for Halloween.
Oh my God, he's zombie Bieber.
Is that what he was? He was a zombie beaver?
He literally
was a zombie Bieber.
He said he was a zombie Bieber.
I think I missed that.
Silly. His brother's like Scott is he's just like a doctor, like a bloody doctor. And they have this interaction where he's like, am I bloody enough? He's asking his younger brother, is there enough blood in my costume? And then he's
never
like,
enough
what
blood.
are you supposed to be? And he's like, I'm zombie Justin Bieber, Zombieber. I was like, all right, dude, whatever.
Dude, I fucking love that kid. He's knew great. I liked him, like, in the very beginning of the episode where he's going so hard trying to get these sketches for these pumpkins. He's like so excited. The pumpkin's not big enough. And then so appreciative, so grateful. His mom gives him this shitty ass little pumpkin and he's like, thanks. I guess I can make it work. What a good kid, man. He just wants to celebrate Halloween, right?
I can smell a liar. It smells like rot.
We're sorry. Really.
Not as sorry as you're gonna be. Not quite ripe yet.
That's the kind of what he is. I feel like he's the innocent. He's the innocent in the episode where he doesn't even know what's going on. He just wants to be with his siblings and have a good time. He's got so many great lines.
There's along for the ride.
He's just going along for the ride. He's like, unfortunately, because of his stupid older siblings, he's put in this shitty situation. Mm-hmm. There's a line he has that I love. And he's just looking through his Halloween candy, and he holds up a piece of candy corn, and he says, "Why aren't?" Say this. He goes, "Why isn't there any candy corn for other holidays?" And he starts talking about Thanksgiving and like why isn't there?
Well, there is
corn
candy
on the
for
cob. Well, maybe at the time of this episode,
called the harvest mix, buddy. It's kids not paying attention.
Oh yeah, it's like pumpkins and
Then like, he mentions 4th of July, right?
I think 4th of July. He's like, "Where's the candy corn candy canes? Where's that at?"
Yeah, it's kind of it's a cool little line.
I knew you were gonna say something about that.
And then at the end, and I don't want to talk about the ending just yet, but he's in the car. Allie already left to go look for Scott at the Palmer's farm. He's just chilling in the car by himself with his pail. I love how he brings the pail of candy with him when they go to find the brother. He's eating the candy, and he literally he's like a little middle-aged man. He lays back and he goes
back in the chair.
He's like, "I love Halloween," and then he goes and takes a nap. It's such a great.
That was Little Louie.
That's Little
literally.
Louie.
That's
that was
still
Little
me
Louie
now.
right there.
That's me now at 37 years old. I'm there sitting there eating like a Three Musketeers, and I'm like, man, I love Halloween.
He's got Three Musketeers on one hand and a handful of candy corn, and he's just back and forth. That's Little Lou right there.
That's it. He's like, I love Halloween while something terrifying is happening just a few feet away from him.
Handful of candy corn is all I need. The world can burn down.
I loved him.
And he kind of has like a bleak sort of cliffhanger ending involving him where you're like, man, not Dave. Don't do this to my boy Dave. Save Dave. But
protect him.
Since we're on the cast too, I do think the kid that plays Scott is pretty good as like being a dick, being like the crappy middle child.
Except for that one thing he said that I was like, again, like I said, it's not his fault. It was the writing. But he said something like, man, I should be out pranking with my friends like a bad boy. He verbally said that out loud. Like, he probably could have just said, I should be out playing pranks on my friends, and then we can kind of come up with the fact that he's a bad boy. But he specifically says, like a bad boy. And I'm like, all right, fucking chill, Scott. Get over yourself.
Scott just wanted to be a bad boy. That's all. That's all he wanted to be. He is the stereotypical bad boy. He's like 13. He's like maybe 13, 14 years old. But they really want to force it down your throat that he's the crappy kid because all he also wants to do, they go to the farm. It's obviously sketchy.
Yeah, it says no trespassing, like you said.
He wants to go back after they interact with Mr. Palmer and he threatens them basically, don't come back or you've been warned, don't come back. Scott still wants to go back and prank him. Yeah. Like, dude, this guy obviously is doing some shady crap with children or something in his shack. He said that you weren't ripe.
No. Oh.
That
could go bad ways right there.
You can't say things like that to children.
No, that's ooh.
But for some reason, Scott wants to go back there.
The school board with words like that. You're not right. Oh,
you're not right. You're not right, boy.
Okay. You said briefly that you wanted to nitpick something, and I feel like I know what it is, but I want to hear what it is that you had an issue with. Because so far we've said all good things.
Yes. Before we dive into my nitpick,
I need to know.
I want to shine. Right. I want to shine one more little.
She's gonna go take a break until you're until you're ready to nitpick.
Yes, I'm gonna put you. I'm gonna the listeners as well. Cliffhanger. I'm not gonna tell you guys, but yeah, this is actually inspired by a real story in this book, the R.L. Stine Nightmare Hour. So this is an anthology children's book. It's got, I think, 8 stories. I haven't read it in years.
I remember that book.
Yeah.
I remember having that book.
It came out in 2000.
I've never seen it until right now.
Well, this is probably the book you saw, Sammy, because I've had this for many years.
Yeah,
so.
it's just that image is engraved in my brain just from having it in our books.
This came out in the year 2000, and it was right after Goosebumps has sort of kind of died and was going downhill, and people weren't really buying the book. So at that point, R.L. Stine was just a name.
It's just a brand. He's a brand. That's it.
He is literally a brand. This show, The Haunting Hour, same thing. R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour. He gets paid to put his name over stuff. That's basic. Best gig ever. The guy wrote a couple of books.
So he didn't actually even produce this? He got paid for his name to be used?
He's probably like an executive producer the same way John Carpenter was an executive producer on all the Halloween films. He never showed up on set. He gets paid because he created a lot of these different things. So
yeah, he's OG.
This book, much like the show, it's more branding. And the very first story is Pumpkinhead.
Oh, nice.
There's even art. So, you know what it is? Like it's interesting because this is kind of like very scary stories to tell in the dark type deal. But it's funny with R.L. Stine too because he's like, there's been a lot of controversy that he did a lot of ghostwriting for all the Goosebump books. So that's kind of because if you think about it, he wrote a book like every month when Goosebumps were hot. So they say that even now he's not even writing these books. He hires people to write them, and then he just kind of puts his name.
He puts it. He puts the idea. He could put the idea out there. I mean.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But the story itself in this is a little different. It's not, you follow one kid and his friends. It's not 3 siblings from what I remember. So that's kind of the difference. Most of the story is the same, but that's really the only beats they changed in it. You know why
they do that, though? It's because you're watching this after school with your siblings. So they probably want to make it more relatable to whoever's watching it. You're not out there hanging out with your friends.
Yeah, I'm guessing
by the time you're watching this show. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's why they kind of, it made more sense to have the narrative follow a family than like this random kid. Yeah. Which when you watch a lot of, like when you read a lot of the Goosebumps or watch some of the Goosebumps episodes, it's usually a kid and their friend that are in the mischief that leads them to the horror aspect of it, the haunted mask or, say cheese and die, where they find a camera that's evil. Yeah.
What year was that book?
2000.
Okay. So R.L. Stine is not listed as writer on any of these episodes.
No.
He's not listed as producer either.
Oh, wow.
But there's a movie that he produced in 2007 called The Haunting Hour, Don't Think About It.
And I think this is an offshoot of that. Yeah.
That's exactly what it seems like, that this show came off of that. This was a $3 million budget film.
Yeah.
Never even heard of this.
Yeah, Universal Studios, $3 million budget, 90-minute film, came out in 2007. So they probably did this show based on that movie. That they put The Haunting Hour on.
Basically,
that would make sense.
I think it's a series of films. I think there's a couple of Haunting Hour films. There's like 3 of them.
It's possible, but this is the only one he's credited on. He was the producer and a writer, and it says writer, but I don't know. I'm trying to expand.
Like I said.
Yeah,
if you look into R.L. Stine's
you said you wanted to know
history,
whether he. I was like, well, let me look it up. Let me find this out. Also known as
it's
R.L. Stine's The Haunting.
It's a spin-off of one of his films that he produced. Basically,
that's what it seems like.
Again, when you dig into R.L. Stine's kind of history, the whole ghostwriter thing pops up, that he didn't write a lot of the books and some of the short stories weren't written by him, but he takes kind of the credit. So again, it doesn't matter. I still love R.L. Stine, but he is a brand. R.L. Stine at this point is a brand. He's just R.L. Stine.
TV series, movie in 2007, movie in 2018. Is that? No, that's not. That's totally. I think that's just a different name. It has nothing to do with it.
Listen, there's a new Goosebumps show.
This is a Korean film.
I'm sure R.L. Stine got a nice check for it and has nothing to do.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
With the television show on Disney Plus. So
yeah.
He's got a great gig. He wrote a couple of books, got some other people to write them for him, and then he produces film and TV that they cut him some checks. He's living the dream. So he was creative for 10 years and then 15 to 20 years actually, because he was writing stuff before Goosebumps. And now he's chilling. He's still writing Goosebump books apparently, but I highly doubt it's him writing them. I do not believe that. So moving on. Yeah. So you wanted to know my nitpick with this episode. You probably know what it is. You're probably guessing it right.
I feel like I'll tell you if I'll be honest.
So the nitpick is, I wish we would have seen the trick-or-treating at the cafeteria.
I fucking knew that you were going to say that. And I because when I watched it, I was waiting for the nostalgia that I have, which is like having like Halloween balls in 6th and 7th grade with like the ribbon and the lights and the punch bowls. Like I was expecting this big thing. Or just little, candy, I don't know. But so I was waiting for it and it didn't happen. But they do like kind of like preface the situation. He says like, it's probably gonna suck. They come back from the party and she's like, well, you're right, that totally sucked. So like, okay, I guess the reason we didn't see it is because there was not the budget and there's nothing really to see. Yeah. But I knew that was going to be the thing that you had an issue with.
It wasn't an
agree,
issue.
Though.
It just would have been cool.
I didn't really think about, but I agree. I feel like had we seen the trick-or-treating in the cafeteria and shown how disappointed he was with it, it would have really like solidified his argument as that this sucks. We're going to the pumpkin patch tonight. It would have given him more justification. I agree.
Did you know jack-o'-lanterns are supposed to ward off evil spirits? And they used turnips until I figured out that pumpkins are easier to carve.
Well, you better get to it. We gotta leave in an hour.
I can't believe we're going to school tonight. What we should do is go back out to Palmer's farm and have some real fun.
No way. That place is gonna give me nightmares for a month.
It would have been cool to see them leaving it, maybe. Like, just a scene of them walk, because you see them in the street going back home. So it would have been cool to see them leaving the school and like, oh, that was lame. We only got blah, blah, blah. And then walk home, even if you see like 30 seconds of it. But I guess it just wasn't in the cards when they were setting this up. Like, all the pre-production, they're like, we can't afford the cafeteria.
They might have shot it and they cut it for time.
It's only 20 minutes, so that's possible. They wanted to speed
the story along. They were like, no, we don't need to see this.
So,
we got to get to the pumpkin patch.
Yeah.
After watching this, for one, we're city kids. Like, we grew up in Queens, so we've never experienced anything like this in real life. Where like, you know, Halloween is not happening because a kid goes missing 12 times a day every day growing up. So we're
kids
never
missing
like,
right now.
Probably, you know, less now than then, but like, we're just like, kids gone missing again. Like, we didn't have Amber Alert on our fucking phones back then, so we were just out there free for all in it. So I can imagine what that's like in a small town, having to go through that and that ruining Halloween. We got very lucky when we were trick-or-treating that none of that's really happened. I will say 2 instances off the top of the dome where Halloween basically got canceled. Hurricane Sandy got canceled. I was already like 19 at that point, but we were taking like younger siblings or younger cousins or whatever, like trick-or-treating, and it was so sad and so bleak, and it was like the first time I've ever witnessed that. And then COVID, like, we are adults. We're still like kind of out there going to bars, drinking, but like, I can't even imagine being like a kid and like, you can't even go trick-or-treating. That's so sad to me. That's like tragic.
Yeah. That's been used, I feel, in other, nothing comes to mind, but I feel there's been other movies and shows that they cancel Halloween for a similar reason. Like, people have gone missing, cancel Halloween. It's another kind of go-to plot device to
I missed the Hurricane Sandy canceling of Halloween. I missed that. What were we doing? We had to, you know what? We were doing conventions and stuff. Those things don't cancel for a hurricane. Yeah. It was 2012.
Sandy Hook, like, no, I remember going out.
Sandy Hook? You mean Hurricane Sandy?
Sorry, Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook was something else.
Something else. Hurricane Sandy. Jesus Christ. Hurricane Sandy. That, like, I remember going out with my boyfriend at the time and his, like, little brother, and we got all dressed up and we're walking down just, like, the just desolate, deserted
it was a bummer.
streets.
Yeah.
Like, nothing was really ruined where we were in Queens, but, like, nobody had candy. Nobody was opening their doors. It was really sad. But, like, we've never had... Yeah, I'm sure it's been a thing, but we've never had that
We had to have been at Chiller that year.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
we must have been, because usually Chiller was Halloween weekend.
Yeah, I think they still, I mean, also Chiller's not in New York, is it?
New Jersey.
So
it's in Jersey.
Yeah, that's why I don't remember it. We were probably at Chiller that weekend. If it was
so long ago.
October 2012, we had just finished shooting Blood Slaughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
We were probably at Chiller that year, so we didn't. The only one I remember that I remember Halloween like being ruined was when we were at Chiller and there was that huge snowstorm and it shut everything down.
Oh,
there was a big tree in like the credenza in the center, and the tree literally split in half from the weight of the snow.
Yeah, at that point we're already older and like nothing.
Yeah.
I can't even. I've been grounded and not been allowed out on Halloween, and that was one of the worst nights ever.
Yeah, this was about that time. This was about 2011 or 2013. This was around that time.
Yeah, around that time.
That there's a huge snowstorm on Halloween weekend. It was crazy. Like overnight, we got like 2 feet of snow when we were trapped in the hotel.
Oh, I remember that Halloween too.
Yeah, we were at Chiller.
I remember that Halloween.
That was crazy. And then we were all standing outside. All of us outside were like, everybody's in costumes and shit, and it's like 2 feet of snow everywhere.
It was a snowstorm. A bad
Yeah, we should make a movie right here and now. Like.
So on the subject of Halloween, what'd you guys think of the Halloween atmosphere, pumpkin patches, and all the decorations? Like, what did you think of that? Did you think they did a good job?
I think they did a good job. There was even a scene while they're in the kitchen that there's like pumpkin magnets on the fridge. It was like little tiny details like that you are so easy to overlook. I think they did a really good job considering it was only like 3 sets.
Yeah,
maybe
it worked.
2.
Yeah. For a place that's canceling Halloween, it sure feels like they were celebrating because all you see kids like dressed up in costumes. They have like a skeleton, cutout skeleton in their kitchen. So like they're still trying to celebrate. So I don't even know if cancel's the right word to use. There's just some weird ban on kind of celebrate. There's probably a ban on just trick or treating, not Halloween. I guess I didn't
get the feeling that it was banned. Did they say it was banned? Like, did they say that specifically? I got the feeling
just don't want the kids out.
Yeah, I just got the feeling that the parents were just afraid to let their kids out, and they just made a conscious effort to not celebrate. I didn't really get the feeling that they weren't allowed to. Just that the parents were like, we're not doing it this year. Too fresh of a wound, and that's about it.
Yeah, but I still think that because if I remember correctly, the front of the kid's house had decorations as well. So like they're obviously celebrating. Now, is there anything you guys didn't like? I already talked about my dislike with the cafeteria not being seen.
I love this episode. I guess the only thing I can say is I would love to have seen some kind of confirmation that the kid that went missing the year prior was in fact there. Like, I would have loved that if they even made a comment, like, oh, that looks like little Johnny.
There's little Johnny's head.
Yeah,
that's
there
him.
goes little Johnny's head. Or, like, those are little Johnny's favorite pair of blue jeans. Could it be him? Or something like that, just kind of confirm, make it a little darker, a little spooky. You're like, that's where the kid went. I mean, it's implied that that's where the kids went, but some confirmation that like for sure is what happened. Yeah. Also, like, what happened to Patty? Was she lying? Did she actually just like her parents wouldn't let her go, or did she get kidnapped too? I don't know. That would have been cool.
Patty, damn Patty.
Along those lines, this guy has a lot of fucking pumpkins.
A lot of fucking pumpkins.
Like, is this the first? Kids. Was this the first year he took kids? Like,
on that note, we should get into the ending. We should get into the ending before we dive any deeper.
If we're gonna say like what we didn't like along the lines of that, like this was the first time he ever did this. He's quite successful for his first, and now it's his second year taking more kids. So it's like I almost feel like had this been a thing where kids disappear every year, it would give more of a lore to this thing. And now they found out what happened to these kids, and now they go too. Like, here's why you can't find the kids. Like, why is this just happened once? Why suddenly did last year he decided, you know what? I'm turning kids into pumpkins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, let's discuss the ending. So the ending of the episode, it's revealed that Mr. Palmer at Palmer's farm.
Old Man Palmer is turning, like you said, Manny, the children, or these 3 children for some reason. We never really find out why he's doing this. It's ambiguous. He's turning the children into these pumpkin-headed creatures. So what happens is...
And where do they go during the rest of the year, too?
This is what you get. This is what you get from the episode. So Old Man Palmer is taking these kids, decapitating them, putting their heads in the ground in the pumpkin patch, and their heads grow into these pumpkin creatures. That's what I took it as.
I think it's the other way around.
As I say, is he decapitating them, or is he just burying them up to their necks, and then their heads turn into pumpkins and they come out?
I didn't realize anybody was being decapitated.
No, yeah, I might be wrong.
No. But Louis, you're actually right, because when I went on the interwebs, several sources say that he is actually decapitating them. However, in the way that you described it, I don't think that's right. I think he is decapitating them, putting their bodies in the ground, and then sprouting pumpkins from their original sources. Yes, because when you actually see little Scotty's head in that grand reveal, he's kind of like, it's like kind of superimposed into like another pumpkin. That's what I confirm is happening.
I thought he was just burying them up to their heads, and then their heads were turning into pumpkins because there's that super deep hole they said to put their whole body in, and then he squeezes his actual head before he's a pumpkin and saying not ripe yet.
Yeah.
So like I thought that he was just burying them up to their neck And then once they're in there, the magic happens and they turn into a pumpkin.
We need answers. We need clarification.
How does he do this? How does he do it? What miracle food is he using?
So I don't know. He's buying it from the same place that Jeepers Creeper got his license plate. It's the same store. This store has no standards. They will sell anything to anyone.
So like I mentioned in the breakdown of the episode, when Scott is kidnapped, he is kidnapped by these pumpkin creatures. Mm-hmm. So they take him back. Allie thinks that he went back to the farm to cause mischief, like he's been wanting to do, to be a bad boy. He wanted to be a bad boy. She goes to the farm, leaves Dave in the car eating his Halloween candy. Like I talked about that scene where he's just relaxing, eating his candy.
Kid passes out in a sugar coma.
Yeah, in a sugar coma. Exactly. She goes looking for Scott. She comes across, like you said, Sammy, the head of Scott. Literally, it's a pretty good effect, too. It looks like it's the actor with makeup on his head underground with his head poking out, looking all, with his eyes all milky. Very creepy looking. And Mr. Palmer, Old Man Palmer, shows up with the creatures surrounding Allie, and he basically tells her, you're going to be next. You're the next Pumpkinhead in my patch. And then we get one last very kind of damn shot where little Dave is in the car, passed out, and we see Allie as a pumpkin creature, her reflection on the mirror.
It's a quick transformation. Yeah. That's a quick transformation.
Yeah. That's where I'm a little lost. I'm like, Scott was taken.
Scott needed to grow.
He had to marinate a little bit, yeah.
Scott was taken before her and was still in the ground growing. Allie, in a snap, pumpkin monster. There's no logic to this, guys. I think we're overthinking it. But,
I don't know. Maybe Dave was sleeping for a long fucking time.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe it was a big nap from all
those sugar comas. They'll get you every time.
Now, I was reading online that they told the producers, I guess, of the show, told the people making this episode, the directors and whoever's involved in this segment, to shoot that ending and leave it more ambiguous to give Dave a little hope. Like maybe he escaped. You know, that's why they shot that, where they don't just flat out show Dave get grabbed, brought into the pumpkin patch, and turned into a pumpkin monster. Because
that makes it even scarier for me.
In my opinion, the ending is darker this way. Like, it's like you're left not knowing, was he turned into a monster or not? You know?
Yeah, if you grabbed him and then that's how we cut it, then I'm like, oh, well, he had it coming. But if
he doesn't have it coming, though.
No, well, his shitty
I gotta be
siblings.
Honest. When you sent us the YouTube link, and I first watched it on YouTube, and the YouTube link looks like garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's no credits or anything. It shows the reflection and then it stops. Yeah. And that's the end of the video. And I was like, I thought it was cut off. So I went to find out if it was somewhere else. And that's where I found it was on Hoopla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, we're missing the ending here. Something's missing. And then nope, that was it.
It was over. It's a great ending. I love it. I think it's a great, bleak, dark ending to this story where they basically are fucked and become...
Well, now that I know that it's the ending, it's a decent ending. But otherwise, I was like, what the fuck happened?
Well, honestly, The Haunting Hour ends like that. A lot of the episodes end on like something like it's ambiguous.
I need to see the credits to know that that's the actual end. This just that was the end of the video. It stopped right there
because it makes more of an impact. Yeah, it makes more of an impact seeing the credits. Like cut to just what happened to Dave? You never find out.
I thought the same thing, Manny. I thought the same thing. No. It tried to play another video immediately afterwards, and I was like,
went right on to something else. Went on to some movie, and I'm like, what is this?
Nope, that's how it ends. It ends with the reflection of.
It wasn't even another episode. We went to a movie.
Yeah.
There is a sequel to this. Return of the Pumpkinheads.
Pumpkinheads. Yeah.
I don't want to get into it because I do want us to cover it in the future. You see more of the creatures. I'll say that. It's different. It's a different. If I remember correctly, it might be two friends in the sequel, and you learn of what happened to Old Man Palmer and his pumpkin patch and pumpkin creatures. So it does.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
The lore is continued. You do get more from the Palmer's farm.
Yeah, I
just want to know. I want to know what else happens in the I want to know more. I would love to learn more about why this guy has this mystical dirt that he can grow these human. It's a great concept.
Some mean fertilizer. I love it.
And why he just realized that he can do this. Where did he get this power from? Suddenly now he can do this.
So closing thoughts. Sammy, we'll start with you. Closing thoughts on The Haunting Hour, Pumpkinhead.
Oh, I love it. I give it all the pumpkins. I think what's gonna keep me up most tonight is I guess just I want to know what Old Man Palmer's motive is. Like, what's his plan?
Children.
Is he gonna just make that many pumpkin pies, like Dave said? What's his plan?
He was a bus driver in a former life, went right off the edge, killed the kids.
I love it. I thought it was awesome. I think this was the best family-friendly one so far. I love this.
Did you like it more than Attack of the Jack-O-Lanterns?
Way more.
I agree.
So much more.
I agree.
So
it's better
much
than
more.
Attack of the Jack-O-Lanterns.
And it has nothing to do with the quality of the episode or the acting. God, even though it was so fucking bad in the other one. But it was the 90s. That's fine. I just think the story was just more thought out and more spooky. And I just like it a lot more.
Manny, your thoughts for a first-time watch. First-time watch of the episode and the show.
It was a good episode. I would watch more of the show based on this. If the rest of the show was good like this, I would watch more of it.
There's better ones, actually. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I would give this a try, and I'd watch it on Hoopla. Fuck that YouTube shit.
Yeah.
You can. So I will say this, and I'm glad you reminded me, because we usually forget to do this in the episodes, where you can watch this. Now, this is on Tubi in Spanish. So, not in English.
Well, then Hoopla. Everybody get Hoopla. Hoopla is free as long as you have a library card.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so that's another reason to get Hoopla, is that it supports your local library. So if you don't have a library card, go get yourself a library card, and then you can have a free Hoopla account. And there's no commercials either.
Yeah.
Dude, I never wanted a library card so bad in my life.
Yeah, because everywhere else you can find
support your local library. Support that shit and get yourself some Hoopla.
Support the libraries. Yeah, everywhere else you can watch this, you have to buy it. So like Amazon has it, Vudu has it, but you have to spend money on the seasons to get it. It's not streaming anywhere. It was on Netflix for a while, and then they got rid of it.
It was. I remember that. Mm-hmm. I believe that the stuff on the episodes on Hoopla are from the Netflix one, so it looks good. It's good DVD widescreen quality. Like, it looks good. The Tubi looks like somebody recorded it off TV on like a 7th generation videotape.
Oh God.
Like the YouTube version, it looks terrible.
Yeah, no, it's not.
It looks really bad.
It's bad.
But yeah, that's where you can find it. It is available. Again, you got to do some searching. It is on YouTube, and I agree. It looks like complete garbage.
Yeah.
It's like 480. It's not even, what's below 4? What is that? I don't even know what's the lowest form of quality you can get at this
360
point.
or 480.
It was bad, but it was all I had, and I still had a good time. Okay, guys?
A little fuzzy, but Sammy was able to get a gist of what she was watching.
I put it on the TV initially, and I was like, this is not fucking working, so I went back to my phone.
My closing thoughts are this. I think this is a great Halloween-themed anthology episode of some of the previous episodes I've watched. I do like it more than Attack of the Jack-O-Lanterns, and I do enjoy Goosebumps Attack of the Jack-O-Lantern. We did cover it in the past. Go back and listen to that episode. This is a darker version of that story. Less aliens. It's more ambiguous. They answer why these Jack-O-Lantern monsters are attacking everybody. In this, you don't quite learn the motive.
Right.
But I do think they did a good job. Got a ton of atmosphere. It's shot beautifully. I think it looks great. Watching it in HD, not on the crappy YouTube version, just the way it looks, very cinematic. It doesn't look cheap. And I think if you've never seen it, you should definitely watch it this Halloween season.
You kids don't know how to listen. Just like those kids last year, poking around where they didn't belong.
You took them. Those kids disappeared because you took them.
They're mine now. My Pumpkinheads.
So that was R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour, Pumpkinhead. Be sure to subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, @Haunted Hangover. Head over to hauntedhangover.com for links to the video version of this episode, the audio-only version of this episode, and our Patreon page, which features a bunch of spooky bonus content.
And if you're one of those people getting all this stuff for free, you're not paying for it, you're just mooching off of our goodwill, then the least you can do is go out there and give us a rating on wherever you're listening to this, so that at least maybe somebody else will see it and they'll like it.
And remember that the best cure for a hangover is more
booze. Catch you guys